Brian here from Coinbase. Well, today's a really good day because we just heard from the SEC staff that they're planning to withdraw their litigation against Coinbase.
So now that it's confirmed that the SEC is dropping their litigation against Coinbase, the popular crypto exchange in the United States, everyone wants to know if the same will happen for the Ripple case, because suffice to say, according to Brad Garlinghouse, the SEC has demonstrated a clear interest in moving on quickly from the failed regulation by enforcement policies of the last administration. So what this means is that the Coinbase case has been dismissed with prejudice, meaning it cannot be refiled later, not even a settlement agreement with some minor concessions. And so this leaves a lot of people wondering and asking, do you think the SEC will drop or settle the Ripple case soon? So with Jeremy Hogan saying, I do, the SEC now has until October 18th to either approve or reject the Grayscale XRP ETF according to the 240-day period. So what you guys are about to see happen this year is going to be monumental. So what we're going to cover in this video is some very important crypto news. There was a massive hack that just took place in the market, and you need to know exactly what to do to protect yourself if you hold any cryptocurrencies on centralized exchanges like Coinbase or other exchanges. This is going to be one of the most important videos that you watch, not only all day, all month, but potentially all year long. So if you guys hold crypto, if you're feeling bullish, if you're feeling blessed, comment 777. And if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it.
We just heard from the SEC staff that they're planning to withdraw their litigation against Coinbase. Now, this still needs to be approved by the SEC commissioners, but we're hoping that happens next week. And if this goes through, it's a really big deal, not just for us, but for the whole crypto industry, the 50 million Americans who hold crypto, and I think for the rest of the world, because this is an important signal about where things are going. Now, ultimately, we still need to get legislation for crypto passed in America to codify some of these rules and make sure the industry can get built onshore. But if this goes through, it's still a very important legal precedent that rights a wrong that was taking place over the last few years, where the SEC unlawfully, in my view, decided to attack or even try to kill the entire crypto industry by suing lots of different companies, including us, claiming that many of these crypto assets were securities. Now, they did this despite there not being any law indicating that that was the case. They didn't publish any clear rules to the industry. And in our situation, they actually had allowed us to become a public company just a few years prior, where they looked at everything we were doing and our listing standards, and they got comfortable enough to allow us to become a public company. So we should not forget how close we came here to a few bad actors in the government actually going off and trying to kill this industry. I remember in 2023, a lot of people were advising me on this, and they were saying, do not engage in litigation with the SEC. It's going to cost you tens of millions of dollars. It's going to put downward pressure on your stock price. It's going to spook public market investors. And, number three, the SEC might fight dirty and pressure other companies not to work with you, which unfortunately did happen in a couple cases. But I think the thing that ultimately gave me the courage to do it was that, number one, I knew that we were right on the facts and on the law. Number two, if we didn't stand up to this bullying, it might have been the end of the crypto industry in America, because not as many other companies had deep pockets like we did. And ultimately, we had to spend about $50 million defending this case. And number three, we needed to stand up for our customers' rights. They weren't doing anything wrong, and they wanted to use this technology. This is America. I wasn't going to let some activist, regulator come through and try to make up new laws that didn't exist and take away our customers' rights. So I'm really proud of where this case landed. I hope it creates a domino effect in other cases that the rest of the industry is experiencing. And we're never going to stop fighting for crypto and freedom. Thanks, y'all.
All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So the crypto market never ceases to amaze me every single day. It seems like we take one step in positive direction, sometimes two steps back in a negative direction, then 5 steps forward in a positive direction, 1 step back in a negative direction. But overall in the macro, we keep trending in the positive direction. Now, yesterday, FTX stolen funds started to get returned to the creditors, and then today Bybit funds got stolen. So we're definitely living in the matrix. Now, some people just have super bad luck because they're not subscribed to the channel and they're not paying attention to what I'm going going to share with you in this video to help you protect yourself from hacks like this. This person right here finally got their FTX payout. It's been a long 2.5 years, but glad to have the money back. Just deposited onto Bybit. What are we longing? And just like what Sam Bankman-Fried said, where everything is safe on FTX, we now have the CEO of Bybit, Ben, saying this.
Meaning that if even today, all of the Bybit client withdraw, we can give your withdrawals. With regard to the act amount, which is around 400,000 ETH, even the Bybit treasury, we can cover that. So no matter what, we will make sure all of the clients' money are safe. So your money is safe. Our withdrawal is still open. And some of the withdrawals might take a bit of time as we are go through the regular checks. But we are aiming at processing all the withdrawals within a few hours. Okay, so I want to rest assured that.
And he also posted saying that Bybit is solvent. Even if this hack loss is not recovered, all of clients' assets are one-to-one backed. We can cover the loss. Now, for those of you guys that have been around for multiple bull markets and bear markets and remember what happened with FTX and what Sam Bankman-Fried was saying, he was saying the exact same thing. So, he could be telling the truth, but you do not want to trust a centralized exchange to hold all of your funds. That's why self-custody is super important. And so what I want you to do right now to protect yourself, otherwise you could lose everything. Guys, I have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars through hacks in the past by not knowing this information. And had I known what I know now, my portfolio would be a lot further along. But those are the mistakes that I had to make to now understand what to do and what not to do. So I want to help you guys prevent that. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below. It'll be the first link. It'll take you to this page right here, which you've heard us talk about in many videos, Altcoin Pro University. But I want you to get started right now. And it's only $97 or $970 per year. You can save $194. And we have a 30-day money back guarantee. And the reason why you want to do this right now is because when you go into the classroom right here and you scroll down the right hand side, you guys are going to see where it says ironclad crypto security strategy alongside everything else that's in here. Click this and go through all of these videos. If you have not gone through all these videos yet, as this bull run progresses, the hackers and the scammers are going to get more and more sophisticated. For example, this channel right here, the House of Crypto, he just made this video 7 hours ago, got 37,000 views. He got hacked and he lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he's got 248,000 subscribers. Guys, this can happen to anyone. So if you think you are immune, you're like, I've been in crypto for this many years, there are new scams and new hacks coming out there that you need to be aware of, and we're covering them inside of Altcoin Pro University. So you're going to go through every single one of these right here. You're going to have a better understanding of crypto security in general. You're going to see why we're cautious about centralized exchanges and exactly what to do to protect your funds from future hacks on other exchanges. Our research team ranks centralized crypto exchanges and orders from the best to the worst, different crypto wallets, seed phrase best practices on how to protect your seed phrase, which is like your password to your bank account, and everything in between. So go through this right now. Unless you want hackers to steal your money and use it for what these Bybit hacker is using it for, which is now the 14th largest Ethereum holder in the world. So stole everyone's funds, put it into Ethereum. They now hold roughly 0.42% of the total supply, more than Fidelity, Vitalik, and 2x plus what the Ethereum Foundation holds. And Arkham Intelligence said that they created and funded a bounty to help identify the person or organization behind the $1 billion hack. And so they received a bunch of submissions. The reward was $50K in Arkham. And ZachXBT submitted proof that this attack on Bybit was performed by what's called the Lazarus Group. So Cointelegraph is saying this is from North Korea, and Park Jin-hoyok is the mastermind behind the hack. He's already linked to 1.73 billion in stolen funds, and if this is confirmed, his total heist could surpass 3.1 billion. He's also known for his famous Sony attack in 2014 in Bangladesh for his $1 billion heist, so he's wanted by the FBI, which is absolutely crazy. So go through the ironclad crypto security strategy and protect yourself at all costs, guys, because the crypto market is very risky. Yes, you can make a lot of money in these markets, but you can certainly lose all of your gains and more if you do not properly protect yourself. Look at this. Now China is saying there's some new pandemic about to hit. They're releasing some other thing from some lab out there. So whether it's from bats, rats, or a test tube, now stocks are falling. Crypto has been dumping over the past 24 hours, with XRP pulling back 6%, Bitcoin holding it together pretty well, only 2%. It's just another day in paradise for us who have been through multiple bull runs. So 24 to 48 hours from right now, everyone will forget about this and people will move on because alt season has begun. So we are not seeing a direct Bitcoin to altcoin rotation right now because stablecoin holders are favoring alts. Alts volume is 2.7x Bitcoin's, and Bitcoin's dominance is not currently defining alt season. Trading volume is. So right now it's a very selective alt season, because in my video yesterday that you guys can check out after this one, I talked about the normal path to alt season. This is not a normal alt season because usually it's phase one into Bitcoin and then money starts flowing into Ethereum before it goes into the large caps. Well, this bull run cycle, we saw Bitcoin go, then we saw an AI bull run, we saw a gaming bull run, we saw real world assets run, we see the ISO standard projects like XRP HBAR run, and they skipped Ethereum. So this bull run is a very selective alt season. That's why it's important to do your own research to pick the right projects, because while most people, bought into Ethereum and have just been waiting for Ethereum to run, you guys could have joined Altcoin Pro University and gotten this information back in December from Yoni from our research team about 10 altcoins to have on your radar this cycle. One of them was Sui. It was called Underneath $1. This is just an update post on these projects. We have Hype, Tau, Virtual, Pepe, Mog was called on the day of launch, and Aerodrome Finance was called early as well too. So we are in an alt season right now. In fact, if we go to the chart, you guys can see that we've been in an alt season since October of 2023, when the total altcoin market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, broke out from $300 billion all the way up to over $1 trillion by the 5th of December. During these market cycles, we see these rapid, sudden breakouts followed by long, boring consolidation periods. So we just went through this rapid, sudden breakout, and now we're going through this long, boring consolidation period. So nobody on planet Earth knows how long these consolidation periods last, but what we look for is we look for confluence. So for example, I have the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator right here that shows us how far we are into Bitcoin's halving cycle. And you can use this on the Bitcoin price chart. You can use this on Total 3, Total 2, any chart that you want. And so the confluence that I look for, meaning the alignment or convergence of multiple technical indicators, patterns, or factors that collectively reinforce a trading decision. If the majority of them say the same thing, whether it be bullish, bearish, or neutral, the likelihood of a successful trade increases. So right now we are in this yellow phase of the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator. Well, last bull run cycle, we saw the most parabolic price action during the yellow phase. So while people are calling for the top of the market, well, let's just look at the facts for confluence here. When did the top of the market come in? It came in during the light green phase right before light blue last bull run cycle. The bull run cycle prior to that in 2018, it came in at light green before light blue. So one time is not enough data to tell us that that's the truth. 2 times is more data, which is really good. And then also looking at the fact that we are yellow about to go to light green is one data point for confluence that I look at that specific metric based on the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator. Now also, if I zoom out, for example, on the weekly or on a more macro indicator like the monthly, or I should say time frame rather than indicator, because the indicators would be at the bottom of the screen, such as the MACD, the relative strength index, and the stochastic RSI. I want to look at where we were during the peak of the last bull run cycle right here by the 1st of November on the monthly chart. And I want to see where we were on each of these indicators and where we're at now to see if we are overvalued or undervalued relative to the top. So at the peak of the last bull run cycle, we can see that the MACD line was all the way up here, well above the signal line. And then when the bear market kicked in and we saw us transition from light green to light blue for the complacency stage high right here on the 1st of March, that's when we saw a bearish cross take place on the MACD, where this blue line crossed below this orange line, the signal line. And so that is one of the main things I want to look for. Right now, the MACD line is above the signal line, and we are not seeing a bearish cross happen, which tells me that the bull run is still intact and we still have higher to go. So that's one point. Point number 2 is the relative strength index. So at the peak of the market, what the RSI was doing was forming a lower high while the price chart had formed a higher high. This is a key bearish divergence showing that momentum had slowed down from a bullish trend to then a bearish trend. So because the RSI didn't put in a higher high and the price chart was put in a higher high, that showed that the RSI really peaked up here at 92 at that first peak right before we transitioned from yellow to green. So could the peak for the yellow phase have come in right here at the most recent local high at $1.15 trillion? Yes, it's definitely possible. However, the RSI didn't even really breach above 70. It was at like 68, 69 right here. So we weren't in this overvalued territory above 90. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to go above 90 to see the peak in the market before a major sell-off. It just shows that there's not confluence there at the same level. So it's just something to note. But we are still in an uptrend for the relative strength index. And we didn't put in a lower high than the previous rally on the 1st of March on the relative strength index. Even though we put in a higher high in the price chart, we pretty much put in an equal high for the relative strength index. So this is not a bad thing. We could see the RSI breach all the way up here to like 80 to 90. It's definitely possible on the next breakout and then see a major pullback in the market. That's what I would expect. And if we look at the stochastic RSI, well, what happened at the peak of the market? We were forming a lower high on the stochastic RSI, just like the relative strength index. Where at that first peak, before we transitioned from yellow to light green, is when we saw this bearish cross all the way up here, and the stochastic RSI traded back down below 80. So we were overvalued right here on the relative strength index. We were overvalued on the stochastic RSI. So 2 out of the 3 indicators were showing us that we were overheated. And the MACD was really tough to see because, the MACD line was above the signal line, and we were still in positive bullish momentum right there. It wasn't until that second peak during light green that the MACD topped out and then experienced a bearish cross during this light blue phase. So we do see an attempted bearish cross right here, right at roughly 70 to 80, where the D line is 82, the K line is at 75. So the K line did cross below the D line, but it's not confirmed yet until the D line passes below 80. It's at 82 right now. The K line currently did, but the D line has not yet. So we want to watch and see what happens with this stochastic RSI, because we can see fake outs take place on the monthly, depending on the monthly candle close coming up on the 1st of March. As you guys saw this right here, we saw this fake out take place back in early 2021, and then the stochastic RSI stayed above 80 from ultimately August of 2020 until the K line or the D line in orange passed below 80 on the 1st of June of 2021. So that was roughly 300 plus days where the stochastic RSI stayed above 80. So just because we're seeing an attempted cross happen right now doesn't mean that it's confirmed. So we are getting some mixed signals here, which is not 100% confluence. And so that's why it's important to look on different time frames. So then we would zoom in, right, to go from the monthly. You can look at the 2-week or we could look at the weekly. So right now on the MACD on the weekly, we just saw a bearish cross above 0, which is not a great sign, but that's why you just don't want to use one indicator. You want to use multiple put together to look for confluence, whereas the relative strength index is at 52. So the RSI is not above 70 to 80, which is a little bit of a sigh of relief there, because look at the stochastic RSI. The D line is at 10, the K line is at 2.74. So actually 2 out of the 3 indicators are showing me that we still have further to the upside to go, because you can see right here on the relative strength index, if I just draw this ascending support line from the 13th of June all the way to where we're at right now, if we see a bounce off of, 46, 47, 850, where we're at right now on the relative strength index to the upside, and we see a bullish cross below 20 right here for the stochastic RSI, this very well could be a fake out bearish cross on the MACD, and we can see the MACD line cross right back above the signal line, as we've seen this happen in the past. Because if you look back here on the 5th of October of 2020, when we were going through this consolidation phase that was boring during orange on the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator, look at the MACD. You guys can see the MACD line crossed. It did cross below the signal line from the 28th of September, but then it crossed back above it again on the 8th of November, faked everybody out, and then the next breakout took place, followed by an aggressive back test of the previous range, and then massive breakout and price explosion. And during that breakout, the RSI was just making higher lows and ultimately higher highs, and the stochastic RSI bottomed out down here, formed a bullish cross right at roughly 20. It didn't make it below 20 into oversold conditions, but it was close enough to reverse to the upside as well too. So we're seeing roughly the same thing as the price chart, where we went through this boring consolidation phase during orange, we transitioned to yellow. So we saw this breakout followed by an aggressive back test of the previous range high. The real question is if we have to go through further boring consolidation, sell off to the downside before the next breakout, or if we just start breaking out right now and some bullish news and catalyst comes into the market and it's a massive fake out on the MACD. Because right now the RSI is not currently in overbought conditions. The stochastic RSI is in oversold conditions. So there's some mixed signals here, which is not 100% confluence, but it's more bullish than bearish. And also when we use fundamental analysis for confluence as well too, on some bullish indicators or bearish indicators, we have to look at both sides of the spectrum, then it can give us even more confluence on what to expect the rest of this year. For example, the SEC has until October 18th to either approve or reject the Grayscale XRP ETF, according to the 240-day period. So yes, they do love to drag this out, but you know what people buy? They buy rumors before something actually takes place. So what are people expecting? There to be an XRP ETF approval. And listen to what Bitwise's CIO had to say about this.
One more thing before we go. We saw earlier this week that the SEC formally acknowledged Bitwise's application for a spot XRP ETF. Now, I know you can't talk about the specific application, but I'm wondering if you can talk about what you've heard in terms of demand for an XRP ETF in particular. Obviously, there was less demand for an ETH ETF than a Bitcoin one, but there is increasing adoption. So what's the scope look like for an XRP fund?
Yeah, I would say two things on that front, without talking about the Bitwise filing specifically, as you mentioned. One, I think there's substantial demand for an XRP ETF. XRP has had a sustained community for an extremely long period of time. It's an asset that trades significantly on centralized exchanges. I think people would love to find a way to hold it in a simple, low cost, easy to use ETP structure. And I will say the second piece is the SEC is much more receptive to discussions under the new administration than they were in the past. In the previous administration, the door would simply be shut. There was no way to discuss things like staking or in-kind or maybe new assets. I think, and I can tell you that has completely changed. They're much more open to dialogue. So I'm optimistic we're going to see, XRP ETFs, Solana ETFs. I think the killer app in this space will actually be an index-based ETF. I think a lot of people want to just make a generalized bet on crypto, and I'm hopeful we get that at the end of this year as well. So count me as optimistic.
And this just in, Grayscale's XRP ETF has been officially published in the Federal Register. Wisdom Tree filed an S1 application for its spot XRP ETF. And listen to what Monica Long said about an XRP ETF.
Right now, this is available on Bitso, MoonPay, CoinMina, additional listings coming on Bullish, Mercado Bitcoin, and others. What about a huge platform like Coinbase and others, for example? When does that happen?
We are continuing to expand distribution and availability of Ripple dollars on other exchanges. So I think you can expect to see more availability, more announcements coming soon.
How soon?
Imminently.
Well, we'll look out for that. What about in terms of adoption? How big do you expect this to get in the next year realistically? I mean, do you have a baseline kind of projection on how big it could get based on the adoption you're talking about with clients? Do you think large institutions are using this? Who's using it?
So, I mean, if we look at the crypto landscape overall, I mean, it has certainly been, the market's been growing in the past couple quarters. And, we think that this year is going to be a big year for crypto overall. And so demand for stable coins, we think will grow along with that. As you mentioned, I mean, it's really the way to on-ramp and off-ramp. It's also used as a key asset in trading. So we think that the market's going to grow tremendously over the course of the next year. Our demand from within our client base, our business doubled within payments last year. And so we see a really strong growth trajectory for our payment solution. And with that, Ripple US dollar will have a premium role.
Monica, what about other asset types? You've seen a lot of interest when it comes to ETFs tied to cryptocurrencies. A lot of questions around whether you could see an ETF tied to spot XRP. What kind of discussions are you having with people about this? Do you think we'll see one soon?
I think we will see one very soon. I think that we will see more various crypto spot ETFs this year coming out of the US. And I think XRP is likely to be next in line after Bitcoin and ETH. There's already been a number of different companies like Canary and others who have filed. And so we think, especially with the administration change, and that the approvals of those filings will accelerate.
So we have the lawsuit still in question for Ripple's XRP. We see the SEC dropping Coinbase's lawsuit. Ripple versus the SEC is next. It's inevitable. An XRP ETF is inevitable. So that's why I'm more bullish than bearish right now. And so if you guys want to capitalize this bull run cycle before the next leg up, right now is actually the best time to find the hottest opportunities in the crypto market. For example, our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year. And this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below. Get in right now. Watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree, if that's a goal of yours. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you before they expire. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside.